congratulations.
Kamari, how did you see Dalen play in that game against Auburn? It seemed like early on, gave up a few plays, then as that game went on, had some big pass breakups. How did you think Dalen played and how he just stood up some of those big moments?
Me personally, I think Dalen played very well. He showed a lot of maturity. He showed a lot of grit and a lot of fight in the game. And he was very composed the whole game. And he came up with some really big time plays. So I think he played very well.
Yeah, watching the Kentucky-Florida game, it seemed like Kentucky really wanted to try and out-physical the Florida cornerbacks, especially downfield and things like that. How does Georgia prepare you guys to be physical in terms of both tackling and holding up and making plays at that point of the game?
I just say, that's just something that we practice every day, just being physical. That's something that we pride ourselves on at Georgia, just being physical at all phases, in our team. So just honing in on everything that we've been working on all year, just focusing on the game plan and just locking in on whatever it takes to win.
You just talked about Dalen there, but we saw Julian Humphrey on a couple drives. What does it mean to have a guy like him that can come in and provide meaningful drives? If you or Dalen need to come off for a second, it feels like you guys haven't really had a guy like that to be able to do that these past few years.
It's a really good feeling, just to know that you have guys that are able to play in. Just if a guy goes down, next man up, nothing will really change because at all phases, guys are locked in and understand the game plan and are willing to do anything for the team.
What do you remember about that Kentucky game from last year, apart from the freezing cold?
It was so cold. I mean, I'm just glad it's not going to be that cold this year. But Kentucky's always a super physical game. From the moment I got in here, that's all that we've talked about whenever we play Kentucky. It's going to be a super physical game. So last year was no different. It was very physical, even in the cold. That's the most thing that just pops up in my mind is physicality.
Just talk about a defensive back, cornerback in particular role in run defense. Obviously, number one, you got to make sure and have guys covered. We know that safeties are heavily involved with run fits, and filling gaps in there. What about cornerbacks? What is your chief thing, and what kind of run game do you see these guys bringing in here Saturday?
Really for the corners, whenever the corners are involved in the run game, it's mostly just really about your eyes. Sometimes a lot of teams like the crack, and then the corners have to replace off the crack, and just being able to see the crack and making sure it's not a crack and go and stuff like that, and being able to fit off that and make sure that the running back gets down.
Their run game, what's your impression?
Say that one more time.
Of their Kentucky's run game.
Oh, they have a really good run game. They have a really good O-line, really good backfield. Guys who can make a couple people miss, guys who can run through the tackle. So it's going to be a very good game.
Yeah, everybody always talks about how physical Kentucky is. From our perspective, every football game looks physical, right? So from your perspective, what makes Kentucky so much more physical than the other teams y'all play on the schedule?
I just think that's something that Kentucky prides themselves on, is just being physical. At the line of scrimmage, they pride themselves on running the ball first, or run first team. So if that's something that you pride yourself on, then that's what you're going to really focus on.
We talked a lot about physicality, but I feel like just from a visual perspective, you've kind of demonstrated yourself as one of the most physical corners in the league. I know you've laid some pretty big hits on some guys that I know you yourself would be pretty proud of. How important is that in maybe facing a team like Kentucky that they themselves is so physical?
Really, it's just like it's good on good, So this is just really, who can do what they do best, better than other teams. So that's what it comes down to, is just trying to do your job better than the man across from you.
Kamari, how big was getting Javon back on Saturday? Just how did you think he played in his first game back?
I think JV played really well. He was flying around making a lot of plays. It's always good to see him back. He fought back from injury. He came back a lot earlier than a lot of people expected, and just to see him out there, being able to play and do the things he loves, it's just a great feeling.
Just to ask you about Malachi's pick at the end of the game, it feels like you guys have a lot of game-sealing interceptions. First of all, what do you feel about his in general? Then also, what do you feel about you and the rest of the secondary's ability to close out games, especially in big-time moments like that one?
I'd say, that was a big-time interception. He had plenty of coverage on him. But I'd also say, it was really the whole defense working together, because without the rush, the quarterback wouldn't have been Aaron, and he wouldn't have, thrown such a awkward pass. So I mean, it was just really the whole defense working in tandem, rushing coverage working together, we were able to get the pick and end the game.
Yeah, Kamari, I think Auburn only had like 6 or 7 pass attempts in the first half last week. Devin Leary only had 9 total pass attempts last week in their football game. When you go up against a matchup where hey, the opponent's gonna be running the ball majority of the downs, is there a different mindset? I mean, you're a corner. You're there to cover normally.
Right. I definitely say, just keep your attendance on, because a lot of the time, whenever it's just a lot of run, they always pop out with a pass or a shot. Just trying to keep your antennas on. Just keep staying focused throughout the game, because it can get hard. Just because a lot of things, especially at the corner position, you don't get to really control, whether the ball comes to you or not. It's not like the safety position. So just really, just staying focused on, the task at hand, your keys and everything like that.
I know Kentucky's a very run-heavy team, but they still had a quarterback in Devin Leary that, put up a lot of stats when he was at NC State. What did you see from him, whether it was just watching games of him playing when he was at NC State, or when you were breaking down his film so far through Kentucky, so far through the season?
I'd say, he's a very good quarterback, very poised in the pocket. He has a really big arm, and he has some really good targets out there that he can get the ball to some guys who can, extend plays and make big time plays for him.
Kirby was talking about the value of playing football and the lessons that you can learn through playing it. What's the biggest one that you feel like you've learned through playing this sport?
The biggest lesson I've learned from playing football is just, I say it just taught me how to be consistent, be consistent in my work ethic, be consistent in, the way I prepare every day, and, how I approach every day. So I say, the game of football has taught me how to be consistent, because especially at this level, you have to come in with the same workman's mindset, every day just to get to the point where you want to be. It's not the same as, when you're growing up, whenever you could just do whatever you want and then still be the best out there. There's a lot of guys, in this league around the country who are just as good as you. So there's certain things you have to do to, set yourself apart from others.
We got a chance to talk to Brett Thorson a little bit. What has it been like seeing him, and having him on this team, and also what kind of weapon is he that can, flip the field and put you guys on defense in such good position consistently?
Brett is great. Thor, he's super funny for one, and he just brings like a different energy, like that Australian energy. We never had that before. But he's a really big time weapon on special teams. He's able to create a lot of momentum plays for us. With all the punts that he downs inside the 10. It helps us out tremendously. So me personally, I'm super grateful for him, because I'd much rather the offense start on the 2-yard line than like the 25. So I'm really appreciative of Thor.
Let's take 2 more questions.
Kamari, what's the biggest thing you guys are trying to clean up as it comes to stopping the run?
I just say we're just locking in on the things that that we've been working on all year, all team run. Just fitting things right, looking at our keys, getting in the right gap schemes, stuff like that.
Last question.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Kamari.
Kamari.